Hello, welcome back everybody to my YouTube channel. This is Narelle AKC of Together Healing, and I'm here today to talk a little bit about cooking at home. And I'll give you like five solid points about that. But I kind of wanted to just go right into it. I have really cool content otherwise. This is just a little something in the meantime before I can get out there and get what I want done. So I'll start with like where I started as far as cooking at home. I'll tell you about my background. So I kind of grew up with my grandparents, and they used to cook at home. Like that was not, we didn't go out to eat every weekend. We didn't go out to eat all the time. Um, my family didn't really take us out to eat like that. It was like a special occasion thing. Um, it wasn't like an everyday thing. And going out to eat, I'm not trying to tell anybody that it's wrong. I'm not saying that it's bad. You do what you do, and whatever works best for your family, your needs, your desires, or anything like that, it's cool. I'm just saying that's not what we did. So even if it wasn't the best food nutritionally, or the like most elaborate meal, we still ate it at home. We still had food at the house, thankfully, and still were eating at home. And so later on, when I went vegan, which was late middle school, early high school, um, I was told basically that I was gonna have to cook for myself because I wanted this special food. I wanted to eat this special food all of a sudden. Nobody knows how to cook this special food, so I'm gonna have to do it myself. And first of all, I didn't know how to cook, so I was just thrown into the Shark Tank, right? And yeah, I grew up around people cooking, but that doesn't mean I know how to cook. So anyway, um, I was doing a few different things at the time. So when I first started, I was following like Queen Afua's um, plant-based protocol procedure type thing. If you read Sacred Woman, then you know what I'm talking about by Queen Afua. It's a great book. I would definitely recommend it. I probably mentioned it in my last video. That really helped me to become a little more familiar with certain herbs. It helped me to be aware of juicing and just nutrient dense foods in general, and their properties, their benefits. Eating raw things and noticing the taste and the flavor of those things without like having things mask the food, because you really want to get to know the foods that you're eating. You want to feel how it is in your mouth. You want to know these things, but you want to know the properties of the food. So anyway, before I keep rambling on about that, um, that was one solid chunk of what I did for a while, because as I mentioned before, my sister and I went through the gateways or chapters of Queen Afua's book, and we did the different diet uh, dietary attributes that were a part of that book, and it was cool. It was an experience. That's what I'll say, because there were definitely some parts of that were intense as heck. They're intense. If you really are following what's strictly written in that book, man, more power to you. We did. We did. We have testimony. So anyway, um, the next thing, I also followed Dr. Africa's um, his African Holistic Health book. Very critical book. He also has another book that I was reading. Man, I wish I remembered right now. But all of his information, all of his books, and really I was watching his documentaries. I went to a couple of his lectures, and with Queen Afua's book, also Heal Thyself. I was reading that, and I also found the same type of thing. So I was going into a different approach, more of a like whole food, nutrient rich uh, what is going to fuel my body, what is going to fuel my cells approach, um, what is good for my body type of approach, rather than like I'm just gonna go vegan. I don't really know the stereotype like thing where people go vegan and have these thoughts. I don't know. Because I remember exactly how I was thinking at the time. Like, it wasn't a fad, it wasn't a trend. It was like, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to see if I feel any different, if I feel bad. I'm going to just dive in and I'm going to figure this thing out. And if it doesn't work for me, if it makes me feel crazy, if I feel like I'm getting too skinny, if I don't gain the weight back, all this stuff, I'm just going to quit, right? So, and I'm not a quitter. So that's the thing. Like, I stuck with it for a while. But, anyway, yeah, I was reading Dr. Lila, Africa's books, and watching his documentaries, watching Dr. Sebi speak about different things on YouTube and stuff like that, and it was just a lot at the time. There was a lot of like pow information, right? So his diet pretty much, or the recommended food list that Dr. Sebi has is, it's different because it's kind of specific, but there still is some variety of things, and there's some overlap in some of the things that Queen Afua mentioned, some of the things that Dr. Africa mentioned, and so on and so forth. So I was just kind of like, over time, that was a progression or evolution of my diet until I found what I really preferred and what worked for me. I tried a lot of different things, and yeah. So anyway, I did these things and I cooked this special food, right? And a few of my family members tried to accommodate certain things and like hook up whatever. But all in all, I say this to say, I was cooking at home, and even when I went out to eat, this is for the people who have been vegan in the past, like maybe like 10 years, 13 years. It was not 13 years ago. There were not as many options as there are now. It was tough for us. Like, I can't imagine being vegan in the 80s or anything like that. Like, man, I feel like, okay, so I worked at the health food store and everything, and just talking to other older vegans and stuff like that, like, I just feel their diet. I could feel how they were eating, and like it shows in the selections of the things that they pick now, like, and even conversations that I've had with older vegans, like I get certain things about how it must have been, but when I started eating a plant-based diet, like I said, this is for those people who were vegan way back 13 years ago, whatever, or within a certain time frame, and like tried out the thing for a little bit and probably gave up or whatever, or even before all these new plant-based processed foods that taste bomb came out, right? We went out to eat, and guess what? Guess what there wasn't? Tasty vegan food, bomb vegan food. We probably had like steamed vegetables. We go out to the restaurants to eat steamed vegetables, okay? That's what we went there for, right? No, nobody goes to the restaurant to get steamed vegetables and rice, or like, and you don't even know if the rice is made with butter. Like, some people don't care, but if you're a strict vegan, come on. So that, or like potatoes, red roasted potatoes, or like, what else? Fries. And then if you're a strict vegan and you're like, oh, what were the fries cooked in? Were they cooked in with the chicken? Were they cooked in with the blah blah blah? Like, people think like this, I didn't always ask that, because like in the beginning, I think I was just like eating I was just eating certain things sometimes, but I was really a strict vegan, and yeah, it wasn't really nice. Like it wasn't a great experience. Um, I kind of I had cut fast food anyway when I first started being vegan. For a while, I wasn't going to like McDonald's anymore. I wasn't going to Burger King, stuff like that. It was just I'm out with my family or I'm at a cookout. Yeah, see, in the cookout thing, like you go out and what do they have? Garden salad, fruit salad. I don't know. It's just not that thrilling to me. It's not that thrilling. You know, it's not that exciting. I don't really feel like eating that stuff all the time. Anyway, so some people bring their own stuff, at that point. So here we are. Whew. After that, um, I just ended up, once I kind of got into my rhythm and I wasn't following a specific diet or exploring specific diet type of things, and just following my own bodily like rhythm and what I liked, what I found to be good tasting and stuff like that, what I enjoyed cooking. Um, I found myself preparing those things at home, and so I just wanted to share some benefits of cooking at home. So one, you're going back to nature. When I say that, I mean you're going back to what our ancestors did. They cooked at home. Um, they didn't have all these restaurants to go to all the time. People cooked. People prepared the foods that they were going to eat. This kind of will lead into something else later that I'm going to talk about. What grows in our natural environments is what we're eating. That's a really critical thing. I think that during this pandemic, a lot of people have been forced, like, even if you were one of those people, you go out every week or you go out for lunch every day for work. Like, I even worked with someone who was saying that, like, it's cheaper for her to buy dinner from a restaurant because it's just her, and that is more affordable, more convenient for her. She doesn't have to cook all the time, which, that's understandable. I mean, do what works best for you. I'm not here to knock anybody's choices, but I'm just saying, yeah, you become more at in unison, in harmony with your environment when you're cooking at home. You're cooking things. If you're going to, like, say, the farmer's market or the farm, you're becoming more in tune with the cycles, the food that grows in these cycles, these seasons, the in-season produce. That's really critical because our bodies naturally resonate with these things that are growing at certain points. It's just very second nature to us. So the second thing, you know what's in your food. If you're cooking at home, you know what is going into your food. Sometimes when you go to the grocery store, or you go to the restaurant, like if you're buying prepared food at the grocery store or restaurants and stuff like that, the stuff that they put in it is not what you want to be in there. If you read the ingredient labels, it's like, oh, why did they put this in there? Like, they didn't have to put this in there. You're gonna be more satisfied with what is in your food because you put it in there, or somebody else at your house put it in there. And the other thing is, you have the choice to buy the stuff that goes into the food, or you could say, hey, don't put that mustard in there. I don't really want that in there. Whatever it is. I don't know. Maybe you like mustard, but um, yeah, that's definitely something that happens. And then if you're going to like a fast food place, sometimes things happen. We're human, right? So like piece of hair can get into the food, like somebody's hair net is like halfway off their head or something like that. And people have, I've heard stories where people have been like scratching their head over the pizza making thing. I don't know. People are people, right? And that's probably why this pandemic has lasted as long as it has too, because sometimes people aren't clean. And that's self-explanatory. You want people to be clean when they're preparing your food. And it's not to knock any chefs, it's not to knock people who prepare food, but some people are just not like that. Some people aren't thorough. So everyone has been around a lazy employee. So everybody knows, or everybody has a lazy friend. So somebody was in that position at some point and they were lazy. They didn't follow all the rules. They didn't follow the procedures you're supposed to follow to present this to the public. It is what it is. Anyway, we don't have any weird stuff in our food because we prepare it at home, unless you do weird things at home too. I don't know. Anyway, to go off of that, the ingredients, the sodium is probably going to be reduced, which is a big perk for your doctors. Your doctor's probably like, hey, yes, because guess what? You're not eating as much salt. They put a lot of salt and sugar into restaurant food sometimes. Well, not necessarily restaurant food sometimes, because the restaurants cater to like people who can't have that stuff sometimes. But it's weird. Like fast food places will have a lot of like salt and sugar in their stuff. This is a whole nother video. I'm not really going to go into that too much. But in restaurants, like sometimes they won't have enough salt. Sometimes it just depends on where you're going. But yeah. Anyway, you can control those levels when you cook at home. You can cook with medicinal herbs at home. There's so many beneficial properties to herbs and spices that you can incorporate into your dishes and feed to your families. This goes into the next point. The children, right? So the children, you might get sick of the kids, but guess what? They like to do things, right? So you can cook with the kids. I'm sure there's a lot of people who look for different ways to engage their children. Cooking is a great one because it works with math, it works with reading, it works with following directions, comprehension. It's something that is engaging. Chopping. Kids love to help. I love cooking with my nieces and other kids and stuff like that, because it's something that, it also is something that builds bonds. And that's a really nice thing when you're working with your own kids. It helps them to feel valued, and it helps them to feel like appreciated and like they're a part of something. I remember I used to cook with my aunt as a kid. We used to do different things like that, and it was really cool when I wasn't getting in trouble and forced to not do the activity. This is another story. Vibes. Energy, right? Okay. So, vibes and energy. I'm sure we all have seen an angry chef, right? Let's face it though, being a chef is an intense as heck job. We watch the cooking shows, like the fire is on. This is not just an expression. These people are working under very intense, pressuring conditions. And it's not very healthy. Like, this is very stressful to the body, it's very stressful to the mind, the emotions, everything, right? So, to cook at home, you get that, like, you get the breath of, like, yourself being able to control your energy and the energy that goes into the food, the preparation of the food. Like, sometimes people are mad when they cook. I don't know how you feel about that. How do you feel when you cook and you're angry, or like you have eaten a meal from somebody that's cooked and they're angry? Um, just reflect on that experience for a moment for yourself. I'm not here to tell you either way, but I think that our energy is important, and even if like you get somebody ticked off at a restaurant, there's people who are worried about people spitting in their food, people putting some little weird foreign objects into their food, whatever. I don't know what people do. I This is part of why some people don't like to go out to eat or buy things from other people, because you just don't know. But yeah, so this all goes into it. How do you want the vibe to be where your food is being prepared? You can kind of control that if you have control of the kitchen, your environment, um, your ability to prepare this food however you feel to. And you know how you feel. And oftentimes, I think that when you cook, it relaxes you, because it is, unless you're like rushing to make the meal for however many people, or um, you're under a situation like that, it's it's kind of a thing where you can just do your thing. It's like a cruising type of thing. Anyway, it's a time, and it's a nice way to try something different for yourself. As a stress reliever, that's why they call it culinary arts. It's an art form. Making something pretty on a plate, making something that tastes beautiful. It's aesthetically pleasing. And it's pleasing overall. Like, if your food is nutrient dense, it's pleasing your body, it's pleasing your cells. That's a goal, right? Um, Anyway, we're gonna keep going. uh, yeah, it's overall less processed. The foods are overall less processed if you cook them at home. You know, um, or technically, I'm not gonna get into technicality because my mind will bring me to technical things, and then I'll end up talking about something else. So, the way that you prepare your food, it's not sitting on a shelf for 15 days and then you just like have it at home. It's something that you're making and eating relatively soon, because it's gonna go bad, right? Perishable. So with that, I kind of wanted to go into something else. I wanted to talk a little bit about um, somewhere I like to go before I prepare my food, right? So I like grocery shopping. I've always loved grocery shopping. And I've loved grocery shopping since I was a kid. I don't know if it's because I used to go grocery shopping with my grandfather. Like, that was one of the trips that we made. Because he would go to the grocery store like every day of the week. That was just one of his outings. And I kind of followed suit a little bit. I go to the store half the week sometimes, and I just like the store, whatever. But aside from that, I also will go to, you guessed it, the farmers market. I love farmers market season. This is kind of what this video is low-key about, the farmers market. That's my spot. That's my place. So this story is about somewhere I used to work. I used to make sure when I worked in the afternoon, I would get out in time to go to the farmer's market. Like, I can't work after 2:30. You don't need to know why. Just know that I can't be on the schedule after 2:30. If you need me to stay a little bit longer, I'm only staying until 3, because farmer's market opens up at 4. Okay, I'm going home. I'm going to take a shower, I'm going to change, I'm going to be fresh, and I'm going to the farmer's market, right? Going to the farmer's market. And that's what I would do. And it's just like the biggest outing for me. It would just put the biggest smile on my face. Um, I don't know. Does anybody feel this way? Am I crazy? Like, do I just feel um, exuberant when I go to the farmer's market? Am I the only one? Um, I don't know if it's because it's just like seeing all of the vendors, all of the farmers with their crops. Like, people work so hard to grow food. It's so I don't want to keep saying the word intense, but like there's so much involved in growing food and bringing it to market and preparing it, like shouts out to farmers and many thanks to farmers, many thanks to people who grow food for other people to consume and just for themselves. If you grow food for yourself, shouts out to you. If you have an herb garden, kudos to you. If you grow microgreens, sprouts, whatever you do, good job. That's really good because we need to be able to know where our food comes from. If we can help it, we need to do that, or at least support people who are doing it so that we control what is going into our bodies, what is how our communities are being used, things like that. I'm not gonna get into it too much, but anyway, it's so important for our ecosystem, everything. It's a beautiful experience to go there and see all the vegetables. I just like vegetables for some reason. Yeah. So I would go to the farmer's market. The cool thing about the farmer's market too is that, like I mentioned earlier, you're eating the foods that are in season because the foods that are there are the foods that they're growing and bringing to market. And those are the things that are being harvested right now. So you're getting the fresh foods at their peak, the peak nutrient density, and the things aren't being rotated on the shelf, the grocery store shelves for however long. Like, you don't know really how long those things have been sitting there, and they're being sprayed so they look nice, like they have the water on them, whatever. That's nice, but who knows? Like, you want to have your food to be as fresh as possible. Like, you don't I don't even want to go there. Anyway, so so when you go to the farmer's market, they also have things like, if you have cards at a lot of farmers markets, you can get vouchers to pay instead of using your card, your debit card, credit card, whatever. And sometimes, like, if you have EBT, they will double your amount, like whatever amount you spend. Say you spend $20 off of your EBT card, they'll do 40 or maybe 60. It just depends on where you are and like what resources they have at the farmers market that is nearest to you, which is really cool. I think that's a very big perk of the farmers market, for people. If you have food stamps, tap in because you're getting triple probably what you would get at the grocery store. And we all know how some of these grocery stores are. Some of these vegetables are wilted. They don't have any life in them. They don't have any flavor. They barely look like anything. Like, is this really a cabbage? Like, well, cabbage is a bad example, but like, is this really are these collard greens really? Like, I don't know. Anyway, collard greens are kind of hard of an example to use too, but I just have collard greens next to me, so I'm going off of what's here, okay? Yeah. The other thing is, you get to connect with other people. So like this pandemic, right? It had a lot of people in isolation. You can talk to the people who are growing the food. You can talk to the people who are um, here and have a knowledge of certain things, or even just networking. Just being a normal human being and interacting with other human beings on a regular basis. These people might be in your community because most likely you're going to the farmers market in your community, in your hometown. Um, so I'm just gonna look real quick to make sure I didn't miss anything because yes, I took notes on what I wanted to talk about today. Um, I could not freestyle in totality for this video. I apologize. So, I just wanted to show you some of the things that I got today. Because, yes, I went to the farmer's market. It's my outing. It's still my outing. Like, even if I'm not working at that place or I don't work in the afternoons, I'm going to make time for this. Okay? This is like a big deal for me for some reason. And maybe you'll see why it's a big deal for me because I'm going to show you. So this is one of the things I got. I'm going to show you all the things that I got today, and I'm going to tell you how much I spent. So these are collard greens. I like this guy's collard greens in particular because they're always huge. Oh, that's another thing. Okay. I apologize for going all around America. At the farmer's market, you don't really have to think about like, I have to buy organic, right? Because some people are very into organic foods with understandable reasons. You know, organic foods don't have the pesticides and the herbicides that the conventionally grown things do. The non-GMO foods, most likely the foods that are going to be at the farmer's market were not processed or are not necessarily grown with herbicides and pesticides. You can always talk to this is what I mean about talking to the farmers or talking to the people who grow these foods or work for these farms or work for whatever group, farm shares, whatever it is. They have knowledge about what they're selling you, so you can talk to them. And yeah, so the produce is beautiful, guys. If you follow me on Instagram at NarelleAKC, I should post this stuff on Together Healing too. I might just post stuff on Together Healing like this about my vegetables. But what I mean is in my stories on Instagram, you'll see me sometimes just posting like random vegetables because I admire them. You guys are probably going to unsubscribe from me and be like, this weird chick talking about vegetables and showing me pictures of vegetables. I don't know. Anyway, I'm not trying to convert you guys to be vegan or anything, but I do want you to see the beautiful things around us. So, as if you don't anyway, but you might not. Who knows? Because some people don't like vegetables. Some people aren't like, I don't know. Some people are allergic to things, stuff like that. Anyway, try them out. Collard greens. This man's collard greens are huge. And when I buy them, they're bomb. Anyway. What I was going to say about those collard greens too, you probably won't get collard greens this big. Like you might get one, like the whole thing might be this size at the regular grocery store. They won't be like this huge, let me just put my hand on it so you see the scale, I guess. I don't know. I'm kind of small. Yeah. It won't be to that size at the grocery store a lot of the time. And they won't look that fresh. Hydrate, it's summer. Anyway. Berries. Raspberries. They were so pretty. I had to get them. This is how I am, guys. It's how I am. But, I'm not even a huge raspberry person. I'm not like, some of the berries, I love berries, but like I like to mix raspberries with sweeter berries and stuff like that. But occasionally they'll catch my eye and I just buy them anyway. Cucumbers. I only really like to get cucumbers from the farmer's market because for some reason, when I was a kid, cucumbers, maybe it's because my grandfather grew cucumbers in his garden, and the cucumbers didn't go bad like they do now. I buy them. I like to buy cucumbers at Trader Joe's. Honestly, I haven't bought them too many other places like outside of like Stop and Shop, Big Y, Whole Foods, whatever. But my favorite, like for juicing, I just buy them at Trader Joe's, whatever. But because they're a little cheaper too. But these are the kind that I like to get at the farmers market, and they last. They don't taste like bitter after a while. Like if you eat cucumbers and stuff, like you probably know what I'm talking about. They're not very slimy. They don't get slimy like that very fast. And they're just the real cucumbers. They're the real deal cucumbers. Um, the other cucumbers that I like to get are like the pickling ones if I get them at Whole Foods and stuff like that. But they still don't even taste like the ones I get at the farmer's market. So I'm like really advocating for this, guys. If you can go to the farm or farmer's market, whatever, that's the place to go get produce. Um, and it's way more bang for your buck. These cucumbers were um, like decently priced. Everything was decently priced. Um, peaches, peaches. Yeah, you would spend a pretty penny on these peaches at the grocery store. They'd probably be like $6. I don't know. Yeah, those were hard to pass up. I made sure I stopped at the guy's table because he has the best like he's one of the only ones with fruit, and he is also like his stuff is cheap. So I had to get all my fruit. I stocked up today. Cherries, cherries, right? These are expensive at the grocery store. Regularly, cherries are not cheap this time of year. Go to the farmer's market. Green beans. Okay. I probably should have like arranged this better so I'm not moving all over the screen. Excuse me. Squash. I got a bunch of them. Probably can't see. So, yeah. I got a bunch of squash. Anyway, this is all I got today, guys. And I'll tell you, I spent like maybe 30 for this stuff. But if I were to get this at the regular grocery store, and I were to buy it organic or something like that, I'd be spending a good amount more. And we know what grocery store I would have been spending a good amount more for these vegetables at. We're not doing that. If we have the farmer's market, there are plenty around town, depending on where you live. I really hope that you have access to these things, or if you can be somewhere in your community to connect with people who are growing food, or if you can find a way to grow something yourself. That would be bomb. That would be ideal. But that is my little 2 cents for today. I hope that this video was informative in some way. Thank you for joining. Here we are together, healing, and we're going to have more exciting content coming soon. Thank you so much.